"Mister, wake up, please, your car's moving." Anna's voice cracked with fear as she stumbled backward off the curb, nearly tripping over her own shoelaces. Her wide brown eyes locked on the black SUV crawling slowly across the intersection, unmanned but still alive, its engine humming low, its tires crunching softly over scattered gravel. She was just a 6-year-old girl, barely taller than the mailbox she leaned against to steady herself. Her small chest rose and fell in quick, shallow gasps, and the plastic heart-shaped pendant on her faded backpack bounced wildly as she took a hesitant step forward. The man inside the car didn't move. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling like a twig in the wind. "Mister, your head's on the wheel. Are you okay?" No response, no shift in posture, no eye contact. She looked around, begging for an adult to appear. Nothing, just a few cars in the distance, a flickering traffic light, and the dry September heat curling the air above the asphalt. Her sneakers scuffed against the sidewalk as she edged closer. The SUV had rolled halfway through the crosswalk now. If another car came fast around the bend, if someone didn't stop it, it could end badly. She cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted louder, "You gotta stop your car. You're gonna crash." Still nothing. Anna Carter knew trouble when she saw it. Born and raised in the dusty blocks of Houston's East Side, she had seen her share of people passed out on benches, on porches, on sidewalks, but never behind the wheel of a car. Never when the car was still rolling. She stood frozen, watching the man inside. His head was slumped forward, chin against chest, and one arm hung limp like a wet rag over the console. His skin looked pale, too pale, like a sheet of paper someone forgot to color in. Her stomach twisted. Should she run? Should she leave? But then she heard it. A sound she'd never forget for the rest of her life. The softest, weakest wheeze. He's still breathing. Anna's eyes widened. He's alive. That changed everything. She looked down at her shoes, one lace untied, the toe slightly ripped, and then at the chrome door handle gleaming in the sun. Her fingers twitched at her side. "Grandma's gonna whoop me if I do this," she whispered to herself. "But she'd whoop me worse if I just watched him die." She reached for the handle. Click. The door opened easier than she thought, and a wall of cold air hit her like a refrigerator. Inside smelled like peppermint, leather, and something sharp, maybe alcohol. Not the bad kind, the hospital kind. "Mister," she leaned in, touched his shoulder gently. "Can you hear me?" The man groaned faintly, his lips twitching. His eyes fluttered open for a second, just long enough for her to see something strange in them. Not fear, not confusion, just pain. Deep, drowning pain. Then they closed again. Anna didn't scream, didn't cry. She froze. Her fingers clenched. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears like a drumline. She climbed into the car. The leather seat swallowed her whole. She could barely see over the dashboard. The steering wheel felt like a mountain, but the gear was still in drive, and the car was still moving. She looked down at the pedals. Too far, way too far. "Okay," she said aloud. "You watched Grandma drive. You listened to all them stories on the radio. You can do this. You gotta do this." She yanked off her backpack and jammed it onto the seat, then climbed on top. Her toes barely brushed the edge of the brake pedal. "Just don't crash," she murmured. The car bumped as it rolled over the curb. She shrieked and pressed down hard with her foot too hard. The SUV jolted to a stop. Anna swallowed. She could feel her bottom lip trembling. But she didn't have time to cry. "We need to go," she told the man. "You hear me? We need to get you help." His face was damp now. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. She reached for the steering wheel with both hands. It was slick and hot. A loud voice suddenly echoed from behind. "Hey, what the hell are you doing in that car?" She whipped her head around. A tall man in a security vest was running across the parking lot, phone in hand. "Oh no," she whispered. "They think I stole it." "Hey," the man shouted again. "Get out of there. Right now." Anna's eyes burned. "He's dying," she screamed back. "He needs help." The man slowed, confused. He looked past her into the car and saw the older man unconscious, pale, slumped. What the—" he stammered. Anna didn't wait. She pushed her foot to the gas and turned the wheel. The SUV lurched forward, tires squealing just a bit, then gained speed. She was headed down the main road now. The hospital was 4 blocks away. Just 4 blocks. She didn't care about the man in the vest anymore. Or the cars behind her honking. Or her grandma's punishment. All she knew was that someone was dying, and she was the only one doing something about it. And that had to count for something. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for more stories that remind us of the courage and kindness still alive in the world. Anna gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned pale. Her small body trembled with every bump in the road, every flicker of shadow crossing her vision. The SUV rumbled forward, awkward and heavy, but she held on, whispering the directions to herself like a prayer. Left at the grocery, 2 blocks, then straight to the big red H. She had only been to the hospital once, when her grandma had a fall and twisted her ankle. But Anna remembered the color of the emergency sign, the sliding doors that opened like magic, and the kind nurse who gave her a grape lollipop, even though she didn't cry. That nurse had called her sugar, the way her mom used to. Tears threatened the corners of her eyes, but she shook them off. Not now, she said to herself. Not while he's still breathing. The man in the passenger seat hadn't moved again. His chest rose and fell in faint, irregular waves. His lips had turned a deeper shade of purple, and sweat now glistened across his forehead. "You don't die," Anna said aloud, stealing a glance at him. "Not in front of me, not like Mom." She pressed the gas again, gently this time, feeling the SUV surge with more confidence. She barely noticed the people on the sidewalk turning their heads, pointing, shouting things she couldn't hear. All she could focus on was staying in her lane and not letting her toes slip off the edge of the pedal. A honk blasted behind her. She jumped. A blue sedan had pulled up behind, its driver gesturing wildly. A woman in the passenger seat had her phone out, filming. Anna saw it in the mirror, saw her own terrified face reflected back. "Please don't call the cops," she whispered. "Please." The thought of being dragged out of the car, handcuffed, taken away from Grandma, no one believing her, stabbed at her chest harder than fear ever could. But even worse was the thought of this man dying right here, right now, because no one else had cared to stop. "You're gonna make it," she told him. "I'm getting you there." The street narrowed. Ahead, the light turned red. She pressed the brake. Too hard again, the car jolted to a stop. Her forehead bounced lightly off the wheel. "Ow." She looked around. No police yet. Good. Then she heard a voice deep and raspy from the seat beside her. "Water." Her head snapped toward him. "You awake?" The man's eyelids fluttered, barely open. He turned his head an inch, maybe less, and looked at her, not really seeing, but trying. "Hang on," Anna said, her voice suddenly firmer. "You just hang on, mister. We're almost there." She wanted to ask his name. She wanted to tell him hers. But the light turned green, and the car behind honked again, longer. Angrier. Anna focused. She turned the wheel slowly and pressed the gas. The SUV moved forward again. A right turn, then a straight shot. Her knees ached from balancing on the backpack. Her fingers were going numb, but she was doing it. A child behind the wheel. No license, no plan, just heart. As she passed the corner gas station, an old man on a bench tipped his hat. "You got this, baby girl," he said, more to the wind than to her. She smiled, just a flicker. Then the hospital came into view. There it was, St. Mary's General. The big red emergency sign blinked on and off above the sliding doors. Anna pressed harder on the gas, her voice shaking. "We made it. We made it, mister. You're not gonna die today." The car veered toward the emergency drop-off lane. Nurses and paramedics stood outside, chatting, smoking, sipping coffee. One of them noticed the vehicle coming in too fast. "Hey, watch it," someone yelled. Anna slammed the brakes. Too late. The SUV bumped the curb and rolled halfway onto the sidewalk before screeching to a crooked halt. The door flew open. A security guard rushed in, then froze. A 6-year-old girl, behind the wheel, and a half-dead man slumped beside her. Anna's voice cracked. "Help him, please." I don't know his name, but he needs help." Within seconds, chaos erupted. Paramedics swarmed the vehicle, pulling open the passenger door, lowering the man onto a stretcher. One nurse called out vitals. Another checked his pulse. An oxygen mask appeared. Electrodes, clipboards, gloves. Anna climbed down slowly from the seat. Her legs sore. Her heart pounding. She stepped onto the pavement and watched, still holding the keys in her tiny hand. He was alone. She said to no one in particular. "I think he fainted. He wouldn't wake up. So I drove." People stared. Someone took her photo. Then a soft hand touched her shoulder. It was a nurse with gray-streaked hair and kind eyes. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Anna. Anna Carter." "Anna," the nurse said gently, crouching to eye level. "You did something very brave." Anna looked away. "Is he going to be okay?" The nurse paused. "We're doing everything we can." Behind them, the stretcher disappeared through the sliding doors. Anna stood there, frozen, the keys still in her hand. She felt smaller than ever. A security guard approached, not the same one as before. This one was younger, tense, holding a radio. "Whose car is that?" he asked sharply. Anna's lip quivered. I don't know. I just found him. I didn't steal it." People began to murmur. A woman nearby muttered, "Where's her mother?" Another added, "This city's going crazy." Then a familiar voice rang out behind them. "Anna." She turned. Her grandmother was rushing across the lot, purse clutched tight, eyes wide with fear and fury. "Lord have mercy. Child, what in God's name have you done?" Anna wanted to run into her arms, but she stood still. She needed Grandma to understand, not just yell. "I saved him," she said softly. The nurse looked at Grandma and nodded. She did. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Anna let herself cry, not from fear, not from shame, but from the sheer weight of it all. She had done something impossible, and now the world would have to decide what to do with her. Anna sat on a hard blue chair outside the emergency room, her knees pulled to her chest and her arms wrapped around them. Her shoes barely touched the tile floor. The fluorescent lights above flickered faintly, buzzing like a tired fly. The hospital air smelled like antiseptic and stale coffee, but she barely noticed anymore. Her grandma, Mrs. Loretta Carter, stood at the front desk, speaking in low, tight tones with a nurse. Every few seconds, she would glance over her shoulder at Anna. Her expression caught somewhere between worry and something else. Anna couldn't name something like fear. Or maybe disappointment. Anna didn't blame her. She hadn't meant to cause trouble. She hadn't even meant to be a hero. She had just done what needed doing. But now that everything was quiet, now that the man was inside, now that the police might be coming, her chest felt heavy. Heavier than the steering wheel. Heavier than the stairs. A voice cut through her thoughts. "You the little girl that drove the car?" Anna turned her head. A tall man in a gray suit stood nearby, holding a clipboard. His ID badge read, Dr. Howard. He had neat hair, a trimmed beard, and eyes that scanned her like a puzzle. "Yes, sir," she said softly. "You got a last name?" "Carter. Anna Carter." He nodded. "And you said you don't know the man?" Anna shook her head. "He was just there. Slumped over. I thought he was dead." Dr. Howard looked at her for a long moment, then crouched to her level. "You understand what you did was dangerous, right?" Her lips parted. Yes. But no one else was helping. People just walked by." He nodded slowly, then lowered his voice. "You might have saved his life, but you also could have been killed." "I know," she whispered, "but he was dying." Dr. Howard didn't answer right away. He glanced at the hallway behind him, then back at Anna. "Well, he's stable for now. Still unconscious, but his vitals are stronger. That's good news." Anna exhaled a breath she didn't know she was holding. "I think he had a diabetic emergency," the doctor added. "His blood sugar crashed hard. Like, from not eating? Something like that." Anna looked at the floor. "Can I see him?" "Not yet. We don't even know who he islanded. No ID, no phone on him. That's what's strange. Man dressed like a Wall Street exec, but no wallet, no contacts. No, nothing. At that moment, Mrs. Carter returned to Anna's side, placing a firm hand on her shoulder. That'll be enough, doctor. She's a child. She doesn't need cross-examination right now. Dr. Howard raised his hands gently. Of course, ma'am. I'm just trying to understand the situation. Mrs. Carter's voice dropped into steel. She's 6 years old. Situation is, she saw a man needed help, and she helped. With a tight nod, the doctor walked away. Anna looked up at her grandmother, heart thudding. Are you mad at me? Mrs. Carter sighed. Her stern expression softened for the first time all afternoon. Baby girl, she murmured, kneeling beside her. You scared me half to death. When that security guard called me from the hospital, said you'd been behind the wheel of a car, Lord help me. I thought I was going to faint right there in line at the pharmacy. Anna lowered her gaze. I'm sorry, Grandma. I know you are. Silence stretched between them, warm and heavy. But you did good, her grandma added, brushing a curl from Anna's forehead. You did real good. Before Anna could answer, 2 uniformed officers entered the waiting area. The room tensed. The receptionist pointed in their direction. One officer was short, white, with sharp eyes. The other was tall and black, with a more relaxed posture. The taller one approached first. You Anna Carter? He asked gently. Anna nodded. We'd like to ask you and your guardian a few questions. Mrs. Carter's spine straightened. She's not saying anything without me right beside her. Of course, the officer replied. We just want to understand what happened. They were led into a small interview room, a bare space with 1 table and 4 chairs. Anna sat between the officers and her grandma, feet dangling, eyes flicking from face to face. Start from the beginning, the shorter officer said. Where were you before you found the vehicle? Anna hesitated. Her grandma squeezed her hand. I was walking home. From the drugstore. Grandma sent me ahead because she had to pick up medicine. And you saw the vehicle? It was rolling. Not fast, just creeping into the street. The man inside looked like he was sleeping. But he didn't wake up when I yelled. I got scared. Why didn't you call 911? Anna looked down. I don't got a phone. And you didn't ask an adult for help? She hesitated. There weren't any. And when people came, they just stared. No one did anything. The officer scribbled notes. And so you climbed inside and drove? I didn't plan to. I was just trying to stop the car at first. Then I saw he was really sick. So I remembered the way to the hospital. I thought I could get him there before it was too late. The officers exchanged a look. You're aware you broke several laws, the shorter one said. Operating a vehicle without a license. Reckless endangerment. Hold on now, Mrs. Carter cut in. She's 6 years old. She didn't break laws, she broke expectations. Expectations that grown folks would step up and do something. And when they didn't, she did. The black officer cleared his throat, then smiled faintly. I don't think anyone's talking about pressing charges, he said. The department's more surprised than anything. People don't usually step up the way this young lady did. The shorter one grunted but didn't argue. Anna bit her lip. Is he gonna wake up soon? We hope so, the officer said. If and when he does, we'll be able to figure out who he is and maybe why he had no ID. Back in the waiting room, Anna stared at the hallway leading to the ICU. She imagined him opening his eyes and asking for water again. She imagined telling him her name, properly this time. A news van pulled up outside the glass doors. A camera crew, people with notepads, phones flashing. Mrs. Carter sighed. Looks like someone talked, she muttered. And now everyone wants a piece of the story. Anna pressed her forehead against the cold window, ignoring the flashes. She didn't care about the cameras. She only wanted to know if the man was okay. And deep down she wondered, would he even remember her face? Anna sat in the hallway of St. Mary's General Hospital, swinging her legs slowly beneath the hard plastic bench. Her backpack was tucked at her feet, its zipper broken from how fast she had pulled it open earlier. One of her notebooks peeked out, a page dog-eared and torn. She'd written a poem in there the day before. Something about stars and her mom. She couldn't remember the words now. Down the corridor, her grandmother stood by a vending machine, speaking softly on the phone. Her voice was calm, but the way she kept wringing the hem of her cardigan said more than words could. Anna didn't need to hear her to know she was worried. A nurse walked past pushing a cart. She smiled at Anna. The kind of smile people gave to little kids when they didn't know what to say. Anna nodded, but didn't smile back. She was tired of people treating her like she was small, like she hadn't just done something big. She stared at her shoes, one untied, one scuffed. A voice broke her thoughts. "You're the girl that drove the car." Anna looked up sharply. A boy, maybe 12 or 13, stood in front of her, holding a juice box in one hand and wearing a hoodie too big for him. His hair was wild and uncombed, and he had a bandage across one eyebrow. "You on the news," he said. "I saw it. Everyone did. They say you stole a car." Anna's stomach dropped. "I didn't steal it. That's not what the man on the television said." She clenched her jaw. "He was sick. No one else helped. I didn't steal nothing. I saved him." "Vree." The boy sipped his juice and squinted at her. "You really drive it? Like, for real?" "Yeah." He stared, like he was trying to figure out if she was lying. Then he nodded, almost impressed. "Cool." He sat beside her, still holding his juice. "I ain't never met no girl who drove a car before. Especially not one that's 6. Anna shrugged. "I didn't think. I just did it." There was a silence between them, broken only by the soft ding of the elevator across the hall. The boy took another sip, then added, "They gonna talk about you forever, you know? My sister said you gonna be on Ellen." Anna didn't answer. She wasn't thinking about television shows or interviews. Her thoughts kept circling one thing. Was he awake yet? The boy finished his juice, crumpled the box, and stood up. "Well, if you get famous or something, remember me. I was first to talk to you." Anna managed a tiny smile. "What's your name?" "Trey." "Thanks, Trey." "Huh." He grinned and walked off, leaving the hallway quiet again. Just then, her grandmother returned, her face unreadable. "Child," she said gently. "You got visitors." Anna's eyes widened. "Who?" Her grandmother looked reluctant. "The news people. And someone from the mayor's office." Anna felt something cold press against her ribs. "I don't want to talk to them." "You don't have to, baby. I told them that. But they're pushy." Anna stood anyway. "Mrs." Carter bent down, adjusting the collar on Anna's sweater. "You sure you want to do this?" Anna hesitated. Then slowly, she nodded. "If I don't tell the truth, they'll just say whatever they want." They walked together toward the small media room the hospital had converted for press. As they turned the corner, the hallway brightened. 2 camera crews stood in place. Reporters scribbling notes, microphones clutched like weapons. Anna paused in the doorway. A woman with a bright smile and heavy makeup knelt to her level. "Hi, Anna. I'm Trish from Channel 7. We're so honored to meet you. You're quite the brave young lady." Anna looked at the cameras, then back at her grandma. She didn't feel brave. She felt like a kid who couldn't reach the pedals unless she stood on her backpack. Still, she stepped forward. Trish smiled wider. "Can you tell us what was going through your mind when you decided to take the wheel?" Anna's voice came quiet but steady. "He needed help. I didn't want to see him die." More scribbles, more nods. "Did you know who he was?" another reporter asked. "Number. Do you know now?" "Number." Trish leaned in. "Do you think you're a hero?" That word again. Hero. Anna blinked. "I don't think heroes are supposed to be scared." "I was scared the whole time, but I just didn't want another person to disappear." The room quieted at that. Even the cameras stopped clicking for a second. Mrs. Carter stepped behind Anna, placing both hands gently on her shoulders. "I think that's enough," she said. The reporters didn't argue. As they walked back through the hallway, Anna heard someone whisper behind her. "She's so well-spoken." Mrs. Carter tensed. She leaned down and muttered into Anna's ear. "That's what they say when they're surprised a little black girl got something to say." Anna frowned. "But I didn't say nothing fancy." "No, baby. You said the truth. That's what scares 'em most." They sat back down in the waiting area. Anna leaned her head against her grandmother's arm. Minutes passed. Then more. No word. Finally, Dr. Howard appeared again, this time without his clipboard. "He's awake," he said. Anna bolted upright. "He's asking for the little girl who drove the car." Dr. Howard smiled. "That'd be you, I assume." Mrs. Carter stood too. "Is he okay?" "Still weak, but coherent. He's stable. Wants to thank her." Anna looked at her grandmother, then back at the doctor. "I can see him?" "Yes, just for a moment." She followed him down the corridor, her footsteps echoing against the linoleum. Her heart beat louder with each step. When they reached the room, the door stood slightly ajar. Inside, the man lay propped on pillows, oxygen tubes in his nose. His eyes were open, pale blue and tired. But when they met Anna's, they lit up with recognition. "You," he rasped. "You're the one." Anna nodded. "I'm Anna." His throat moved. "Jasper." Jasper Reed. She stepped closer to the bed. "Are you mad I drove your car?" He gave a soft laugh. "Mad? You saved my life." Anna let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "I didn't know what else to do." Jasper looked at her for a long time. Then, in a hoarse whisper, he said, "You did more than most adults would have." "Thank you." Anna glanced down at his hand, resting on the blanket. She reached out and gently touched it. "You're welcome, Mr. Jasper." And in that moment, Anna Carter no longer felt small at all. The next morning, the world outside St. Mary's Hospital was no longer quiet. By 8 a.m., 3 news vans were parked along the sidewalk. Their satellite dishes pointed toward the sky like strange mechanical flowers. Cameramen stood behind tripods. Reporters rehearsed lines under their breath, and passers-by stopped just to take photos of the building where the little girl hero had become a household name overnight. Inside room 407, Jasper Reed stared at the muted television mounted in the corner. His face, pale but focused, reflected back at him from the screen. Beneath the image, bold letters spelled, "Saved by a child. Billionaire CO rescued by 6 YEAROLD driver." He exhaled slowly, rubbed his temple, and glanced at the window. The sun was out, but his thoughts remained clouded. "I didn't want this," he murmured. Dr. Howard, standing beside the bed, raised an eyebrow. "Didn't want to be saved?" "I didn't want to be seen." Jasper's voice was dry, but his tone was heavy. "I was trying to disappear for a little while. Just a few days. No security, no staff, just quiet." "Well," the doctor said, scribbling notes on a clipboard, "you didn't quite get your wish. Instead, you've got every reporter from here to New York wanting to know your side of the story." Jasper chuckled weakly. "They'll have to wait. I need to see Anna again." Dr. Howard nodded. "She's in the waiting room with her grandmother. We can bring her by later." As the doctor stepped out, Jasper leaned back and closed his eyes. But peace didn't come. The image of that tiny girl, hands too small for the wheel, legs barely reaching the pedals, filled his thoughts. She had done something no one else had. She cared. Meanwhile, outside the hospital cafeteria, Anna sat across from her grandmother at a sticky plastic table, trying to eat a bowl of cereal that had gone soggy 10 minutes ago. She poked at it with her spoon, watching milk spill over the edge. Mrs. Carter sipped her coffee, eyes scanning her granddaughter quietly. "You haven't said much this morning," she said. Anna shrugged. "Everyone keeps staring. Because you did something mighty brave." Anna leaned in closer, whispering, "Grandma, am I in trouble?" Mrs. Carter blinked. "Lord, no, you're not in trouble. But the police, the news people, even the nurses talk like I did something wrong." Her grandmother reached across the table and gently took her hand. "People talk when they don't know what else to do. And sometimes, when a little black girl does something right, they don't know how to handle it." Anna's eyes dropped to her bowl. "It don't feel like I did something good." Mrs. Carter leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. "Don't let them take that from you. You saved a man's life. Doesn't matter what they call it. Doesn't matter what they think you should have done. What matters is you saw someone hurting, and you helped. That's what real courage looks like. Anna was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Do you think he's going to be okay?" "I do." Just then, a hospital staff member appeared in the doorway. "Excuse me, Miss Carter?" "Mr. Reed is asking for Anna again." Anna stood up quickly. Her cereal forgotten, she followed the woman down the hallway, the echo of her footsteps bouncing against the walls. As they reached room 407, she paused at the door, hesitating. "Come in," Jasper called as if sensing her. Anna peeked around the corner, then entered, hands tucked behind her back. Jasper was sitting up this time, looking stronger. He offered her a warm smile. "You look taller today," he joked. Anna giggled. "That's 'cause I'm not standing on a backpack." Jasper laughed genuinely this time. The sound filled the room like sunlight. He gestured to a chair beside the bed. "Come sit." Anna did, her feet swinging just above the floor. "I don't remember everything," Jasper said. "But I remember your face. You were scared, weren't you?" She nodded. "So was I," he admitted. Anna's eyes widened. "But you're a grown-up. Doesn't mean I'm not scared sometimes. Especially when everything starts spinning and you can't breathe. It's like drowning. Only there's no water." She nodded again. "That's what it looked like." There was a pause, and then Jasper said, "You didn't have to help me. Most kids would have run. You weren't gonna make it if I ran." He looked at her carefully. "You're 6 years old, Anna. You should have been playing hopscotch or watching cartoons, not driving a stranger to the hospital. That's not normal." "I know," she said quietly, "but normal don't always help." Jasper blinked. Something in her tone hit deeper than anything he'd read in business books or heard in boardrooms. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I want to do something for you. You don't have to." "I want to." She tilted her head. "Like what?" "I don't know yet, but something real, something that matters." Anna was about to respond when a knock came at the door. Dr. Howard peeked in. "Sorry to interrupt, but the press is asking for a joint statement. You don't have to." "I do," Jasper said, already reaching for the remote to mute the television. "But only if Anna's okay with it." She looked startled. "Me? You're the reason I'm sitting here, aren't you?" Anna looked to her grandmother, who had just appeared behind Dr. Howard. Mrs. Carter gave her a nod. Anna stood, smoothing her shirt. "I'll do it," she said. "But only if they don't twist it." "We'll make sure they don't," Jasper said. "We'll do it together." And as they prepared to face the world outside that hospital room, a strange calm settled over both of them. Different ages, different lives, different skin, but something invisible connected them now, something stronger than headlines, louder than gossip. A moment of courage, shared between a man who had everything and a little girl who had almost nothing except heart. The conference room at St. Mary's General had never seen this much attention. It was usually reserved for hospital board meetings or quiet HR training sessions with cold coffee and dry donuts. But today, the long rectangular table had been pushed aside, replaced with a podium, 2 chairs, and a row of glaring lights mounted on tripods. Reporters filled every available seat. Cables snaked across the floor. Cameras blinked red. Already rolling. Anna peeked out from behind the side curtain, clutching her grandmother's hand. "They're all looking this way," she whispered. Mrs. Carter leaned down, fixing a loose braid behind Anna's ear. "They're looking because you did something worth looking at. You don't owe them anything, baby, but if you want to tell your truth, this is the place." Anna nodded, her fingers trembling slightly. She wore the only nice dress she owned, light blue with small white buttons, a little too short now, but still clean. Around her neck hung a tiny silver cross. It had belonged to her mother. From the other side of the curtain, she heard the MC tap the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Today's press event will begin in 2 minutes." Then came the whisper of footsteps. Jasper Reed appeared at the edge of the curtain, now dressed in a crisp gray suit and walking slowly, still leaning slightly on a cane. His face looked rested, but his eyes were sharp. He spotted Anna and smiled. "You ready, partner?" Anna nodded. "You? I've spoken in front of boardrooms full of angry investors," he said. "But this is scarier." Anna gave a small smile, and the two of them stepped out together. The room went silent. Flashes fired. Cameras clicked. A collective intake of breath passed through the reporters as the little girl and the billionaire took their seats at the front. Jasper adjusted his microphone. Anna just stared at hers like it might bite. "Good morning," Jasper began, his voice steady. "My name is Jasper Reed. I'm the founder and CEO of RidgeTech. And until 3 days ago, I was just another name on a long list of people who thought they could outrun their own exhaustion. No." He paused, allowing the weight of that line to land. "I was driving alone, trying to clear my head, when I lost consciousness. What happened next, what saved my life, was nothing short of a miracle. A 6-year-old girl named Anna Carter climbed into my moving vehicle and drove me to this hospital." Murmurs rippled through the room. "I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she was brave enough to even try. But what I do know," he looked directly at Anna, "is that she didn't just save me. She reminded me of something I forgot along the way, what it means to care about a stranger." Jasper turned to Anna and gently nodded for her to speak. She leaned forward, her fingers barely grazing the microphone. "My name's Anna," she said, her voice small but clear. "I didn't know who he was. I just saw him hurting. Nobody else helped. So I did." A reporter raised a hand. "Anna, weren't you afraid, driving a car at your age?" She nodded. "Yeah, I was real scared. But sometimes, you gotta do scary things if it means helping somebody." More flashes, more scribbles. Another voice. "Mr. Reed, will you be pressing any charges? There's still legal talk about endangerment and—" Jasper cut in. "Absolutely not. In fact, I intend to advocate for Anna, not against her. She didn't endanger anyone. She protected life. She used her instincts, her courage, and her heart. Frankly, the only thing I find dangerous here is how many adults passed by and did nothing." That landed hard. Reporters stopped moving. One camera operator lowered his lens. A final question came from the back. "What now? What comes next for you both?" Jasper looked down, then back at the crowd. "For me, I'm restructuring priorities. I've spent decades chasing wealth, status, and control. But none of those things helped me when I needed a hand. A child did. So, from today forward, I'm launching a new foundation in Anna's name, the Anna Carter Initiative. It'll support youth programs focused on courage, community, and action. And Anna, with her grandmother's permission, will help guide its mission." Gasps and murmurs broke out. Anna's eyes widened. "Me? You," Jasper said. "The world needs more people like you. I intend to make sure your voice is heard." The press conference ended with a standing ovation. Not the forced, polite kind, but the genuine kind. Reporters stepped forward to shake her hand. A nurse clapped from the hallway. A janitor gave her a thumbs up. Backstage, away from the noise, Anna sat with her grandmother, still trying to understand what had just happened. "Is this real?" she asked. Mrs. Carter wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "It's real, baby. It's your story now." That evening, as the sun dipped behind the Houston skyline, Anna stood by the window of room 407, watching the orange light stretch across the city. Jasper sat behind her, reading letters, hundreds of them from across the country, kids who felt seen, parents who were proud, retirees who said she gave them hope again. "You changed something," Jasper said quietly. "You know that?" Anna turned. "I just wanted to help, and that's exactly what makes it powerful." He paused, then added, "Can I tell you a secret?" Anna nodded. "I used to think money fixed everything. But that day, slumped over my wheel, with no one coming, no security, no doctors, no staff, it didn't mean a thing. What saved me wasn't money, it was you." Anna didn't know what to say. So she just whispered, "You're welcome." They stood in silence together as night fell. In another part of the city, televisions played the conference on loop. The girl who drove, that's what they called her now. But Anna didn't care about the titles. All she knew was that someone had needed help and she had helped. And maybe, just maybe, the world had remembered what that looked like. 3 days had passed since the press conference. and the frenzy had finally started to quiet. News vans had rolled away. Reporters had moved on to the next story. The hospital halls no longer echoed with whispers about the little girl hero. For the first time in a week, Anna Carter could breathe. She sat in the hospital garden that afternoon, on a wooden bench under a crepe myrtle tree. Its pink blossoms fell gently around her like pieces of sky. In her hands, she held a small paper cup of apple juice and a granola bar Jasper had sent her earlier that morning with a note. "Don't forget to eat. Heroes need snacks too." She smiled when she read it but hadn't said anything aloud. Even now, sitting under the breeze with butterflies flitting through the air, part of her still felt like she was inside a dream. "Penny for your thoughts?" A familiar voice called behind her. Jasper Reed walked slowly down the stone path, his cane tapping lightly against the walkway. He wore a navy sweater and khakis relaxed, and older than the sharp-suited CEO who once graced Forbes covers. But in his eyes, there was more life now. More ease. Anna scooted over on the bench to make room. "You don't have to pay. My thoughts are free." He chuckled. A wise business strategy, but not a sustainable one. They sat in silence for a few moments. The breeze picked up. Birds chirped in the distance. Then Jasper said, "Do you like gardens?" Anna shrugged. "I guess. My mom used to like them. She'd say plants are like people. If you give them enough sun, water, and love, they'll grow, even in broken soil." Jasper's smile faded into something more solemn. "Smart woman. Your mom." Anna nodded. "I miss her a lot. She would have told me I did good, even if everyone else thought I was crazy." "No one thinks you're crazy," Jasper said softly. She gave him a side glance. "Some folks do. I heard what people said on the news. Where was the mother? Why was she alone? A child behind the wheel? That's not courage, it's neglect." Jasper looked away for a beat, then back at her. "People say a lot of things when they're afraid of facing what they didn't do. You embarrassed grown people, Anna. You shamed them without meaning to." Anna looked down at her lap. "It wasn't about shame. I just didn't want to watch someone else die." The words hung in the air. Jasper nodded slowly. "That's something most adults don't know how to admit, let alone act on." Another silence. Then Jasper reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope. He handed it to her. Anna turned it over in her hands. "What's this?" "An invitation," he said. She opened it carefully, her fingers tracing the gold-embossed letters. It was a formal card, thick and elegant. It read, "The Anna Carter Initiative, Inaugural Dinner and Fund Launch, hosted by Jasper Reed and Ridgetech Foundation, Saturday, 6 p.m., Civic Arts Center, downtown Houston." Anna blinked. "I don't have a fancy dress." Jasper smiled. "We'll take care of that. I don't know what to say at a dinner." "Then don't say anything. Just be there. Your presence is the message." 1. She held the card tighter. "Will there be a lot of people?" "Yes," he said honestly. "Donors, community leaders, city officials." Anna looked uneasy. "But," he added, "you won't be alone. I'll be beside you. And your grandmother too. And the people this fund will help, they'll be there in spirit. Even if they haven't heard your name yet." Anna hesitated. "What if I mess up?" "You already did the hardest part," he said gently. "You acted when it counted. Everything else is just noise." Later that evening, back at their modest apartment, Anna showed the invitation to her grandmother. Mrs. Carter read it twice, then looked up at Anna with glassy eyes. "Baby, they named this after you?" Anna nodded. "Lord," her grandmother whispered, sitting down on the edge of the couch. "Your mama would have cried happy tears today." "I don't know if I'm ready for all this," Anna said. Mrs. Carter reached out, cradling Anna's small hands in her own. "Sometimes, we don't choose when the world asks us to stand tall. But when it does, we don't shrink. We remember who we are, and we show up." That Saturday came faster than Anna expected. She wore a soft yellow dress with a lace collar one Jasper's assistant had picked out for her. Her hair had been braided by Mrs. Carter that morning, and a small white bow sat perfectly at the back. When she stepped into the grand Civic Arts Center, A gasp went through the crowd, not because she was famous, but because she was real. No one could look away from the tiny girl who had changed the world by simply doing what others would not. Jasper, dressed in black tie, met her at the entrance. "You look like royalty," he whispered. Anna giggled. "I feel like I'm in a movie." "You kind of are." Huh. The dinner was elegant, with long tables draped in silver cloth and crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling like frozen fireworks. The crowd stood when Anna and Jasper entered. Cameras flashed. Applause erupted. But the most powerful moment came an hour later, when Jasper stood at the podium and motioned for Anna to join him. "I want to introduce you," he said, his voice booming yet warm, "to the reason we are all here tonight, the reason this initiative exists. Not because she sought recognition, but because she did what many of us forget to do. She saw someone hurting, and she acted." He looked down at her, his eyes glinting. Anna Carter, 6 years old. No license, no agenda, just heart. The crowd stood again, this time in quiet awe. Anna took a step forward, just enough to be seen. And for the first time, she didn't shrink. She let them see her. All of her. The little girl who drove. The little girl who chose courage over comfort. And as the applause echoed through the grand hall, Anna whispered something only she could hear. "I'm not afraid anymore." The following Monday, the morning air in Houston felt unusually crisp. A faint autumn breeze rustled the trees outside Anna's school, where for once, she wasn't walking in unnoticed. As she and her grandmother turned the corner, students paused. Some whispered. A few pointed. One girl gasped loudly enough for Anna to hear and tugged at her friend's sleeve. "There she is," the friend whispered. "That's her, the girl from television." Anna slowed her steps. Her hand instinctively reached for Mrs. Carter's, fingers curling tight. Her grandmother bent slightly and whispered, "Head high, baby. You didn't ask for the spotlight, but now you've got it. Just be you." "That's more than enough." Anna nodded, steeling herself. The school lobby had been decorated since Friday with a new banner. "Welcome back, Anna. Our everyday hero." The letters were big, bold, and bright red, hung slightly crooked above the main office. Someone had even added paper stars around it. Principal Meadows, a tall woman in a blue blazer, greeted them at the door with a smile too wide to be natural. "Miss Anna Carter," she said, crouching down like reporters had all week. "We're honored to have you back. We've all seen what you did. So brave, so inspiring." Anna shifted uncomfortably. "Thank you, ma'am." Principal Meadows stood again and looked at Mrs. Carter. "She's a very special girl. We'd like to recognize her at our morning assembly." Mrs. Carter raised an eyebrow. "We'd prefer to keep things calm for now. She's still a child, and this has been a lot." The principal's smile twitched. Of course, but just a few kind words perhaps. The students would love to hear from her." Anna tugged gently on her grandmother's sleeve. "It's okay, Grandma. I'll say something small. Bye." That seemed to satisfy everyone. 10 minutes later, Anna stood on the edge of the stage in the gymnasium. The entire student body sat cross-legged on the floor or in bleachers, buzzing with whispers. A few teachers stood nearby, smiling like proud relatives. When the microphone was passed to her, Anna hesitated. Then she spoke. "I'm just a girl," she began. "I saw someone who needed help. That's all. I didn't do it to be famous. I didn't do it to be a hero. I did it because I couldn't just walk away." The room fell quiet. "No one should be too small to help," she continued, "and no one should be too big to care." The students clapped, some standing. A few even whistled. Anna stepped back. Cheeks flushed, but not everyone clapped. In the back of the gym, a group of fifth-grade boys stood with their arms crossed. Among them was Tyler Matthews, a sharp-tongued, quick-grinned kid known more for teasing than kindness. He didn't clap. He smirked. Later that day, in the hallway by the lockers, Anna felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see Tyler. "Must be nice," he said. "Getting special treatment 'cause you drove a car." Anna frowned. "I didn't ask for special." "Sure you didn't," he scoffed. Bet you think you're better than everyone now. I don't, Anna said, voice steady. He leaned in, whispering so only she could hear. You broke the law. That's what my dad says. He said if you were anyone else, you'd be in juvie. But you got lucky. Anna's chest tightened. Don't let the cameras fool you, he said with a sneer. They only like you 'cause of your sob story. Before she could respond, he turned and walked away. The sting of his words stayed long after he was gone. That evening, at home, Anna sat on her bed, hugging her pillow tightly. Her grandmother entered, carrying a plate of cookies and warm milk. Something's weighing you down, Mrs. Carter said softly, placing the plate on the nightstand. Anna hesitated, then the words tumbled out. Some kids think I'm lying, or that I shouldn't have done it, or that I got attention for the wrong reasons. Mrs. Carter sighed, sitting beside her. There'll always be people who can't handle other folks shining, she said, especially when that shine comes from something honest. Anna looked up. But what if they're right? What if I did break the rules? Her grandmother reached for her hand. Let me tell you something about rules. Some rules are made to protect people. But some? They're just lines drawn by folks who never had to survive the way we do. Anna blinked. You didn't break the rule. You broke the expectation that a little black girl wouldn't dare touch that steering wheel. That she'd wait, that she'd be quiet, that she'd let someone else fix it. Mrs. Carter smiled gently. You broke a mold. And that scares people. Anna whispered. It scares me too. Her grandmother kissed her forehead. Courage ain't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right even when the fear is there. Anna nodded slowly, pulling the blankets up to her chest. Before leaving the room, Mrs. Carter added, Let him talk, baby. You just keep living the truth. That night, Anna lay awake longer than usual. She thought about Jasper, about the car, about the sound of her own heartbeat as she'd reached for the gear shift. She remembered how the wheel had felt in her hands, too big, too cold, too real. She remembered the man slumped beside her. And she remembered the moment she realized no one else was going to help. It wasn't about being a hero. It had never been. It was about deciding that waiting was no longer an option. That sometimes, being 6 didn't mean being small. It meant seeing what others wouldn't. It meant acting when the world froze. It meant becoming something you didn't even know you could be. She closed her eyes, finally drifting to sleep. Outside her window, the wind stirred the leaves gently. And somewhere, deep inside her, a quiet strength settled in, unshaken. The next week passed in a blur. School returned to its routine, but Anna's days no longer felt normal. Every hallway she walked down, every classroom she entered, she could feel eyes on her. Some smiling, others judging. She didn't mind the whispers as much anymore, she was getting used to them, but what lingered were the stares that didn't come from curiosity, but something colder. Something that looked like doubt. Jasper called her every evening. Not long calls, just enough to check in. He asked about her day, told her a new joke, or sent her pictures of the Anna Carter Initiative headquarters, which was now under renovation in an old brick building downtown. You're gonna help pick the paint colors, he'd told her one night. It's your name on the door after all. But even those calls, as comforting as they were, couldn't shake the feeling Anna carried after her run-in with Tyler. His words had sunk deep, too deep, for someone her age to carry alone. One Thursday afternoon, a surprise came. Jasper's black sedan pulled up outside her school just as the final bell rang. It was Marcus, Jasper's driver, tall and soft-spoken, who waved her over. Mr. Reed wants to see you, Marcus said. If that's all right with your grandma. He sent a note. The note was short. Just need some time with my favorite co-founder. I promise snacks and a walk. With her grandmother's blessing and backpack slung over her shoulder, Anna climbed into the car. The ride was quiet, but peaceful. Marcus had jazz playing low on the radio. Anna sat back and watched the city blur by. After about 15 minutes, they turned onto a street she'd never been down before. Old storefronts lined the sidewalk, most closed, their windows dusty and signage faded. Then the car slowed to a stop in front of a small, white building with chipped paint and a hand-lettered sign that read, Barber and Books. Jasper stepped out from the shop, waving. He wasn't in a suit. Today, he wore jeans and a soft, blue flannel shirt. There was something warmer about him now, less polished, more grounded. "Hey, partner," he said as she stepped out. "You hungry?" She nodded, and he held up a brown bag. "Best sandwiches in Houston. Tuna melt and curly fries. Couldn't resist." They sat on a bench out front, eating in the golden light of the afternoon. No cameras. No reporters. Just two people, one older, one very young, sharing a meal. "This was my dad's place," Jasper said, gesturing toward the shop. "He ran this barber shop for 40 years, cut hair in the front, lent out books from the back, didn't make much money. But he said it kept young men from becoming lost men." Anna looked up at the door. There were still old posters taped to the inside glass flyers for book drives and community barbecues. "Why are we here?" she asked gently. Jasper finished chewing before answering. "Because you've been carrying a weight I recognize. I saw it in your eyes at the press dinner. And I've heard it in your voice every night this week." Anna looked down. "You've been thinking about what that boy said, the one who called you lucky. Who said you broke the rules?" She didn't answer, but her silence said everything. "I had a Tyler too," Jasper said. "When I got my first business loan, when I made my first million, when I started hiring people they told me I didn't belong. That I got lucky, that I didn't earn it. And every time I walked into a room, part of me kept wondering if they were right." He paused. "But they weren't, and neither is Tyler." Anna looked at him now, her eyes round and full of questions. "You didn't get lucky, Anna. You got prepared. Life handed you a storm, and somehow, without a map or an umbrella, you kept walking. That's not luck. That's strength. And some people can't handle that. But what if people stop believing me?" she asked. "What if they think I made it up?" Jasper leaned in closer. "Let me tell you a secret. People who believe in you don't need proof, and people who need proof never really believed in the first place." They finished their sandwiches slowly. The city around them hummed with its usual rhythm, cars honking, distant music, the occasional dog barking behind a gate. After a while, Jasper unlocked the shop door. "Want to see something?" he asked. Anna nodded. Inside, the air smelled of old books and cedar. The shop hadn't changed much. The barber chairs were still there, though dusty. The bookshelves were packed from floor to ceiling, some of the titles old enough to crack at the spine. In the back was a wall, covered in photographs, men and boys, families, smiles frozen in time. "My dad used to call this the mirror wall," Jasper explained. He said, "When people forget who they are, show them a reflection they can be proud of." Anna wandered to the wall, studying the photos. Then she stopped. At the very bottom, recently added, was a new frame. A photo of her standing beside Jasper at the initiative launch. Her dress was yellow, her smile small, but brave. Underneath it, in gold lettering, were the words, "See what courage looks like." Anna blinked hard. "This place," Jasper said behind her, "is going to be the first branch of the Anna Carter Initiative. Books, free tutoring, a safe place for kids after school, and anyone who walks in will see that wall and know they matter." She turned to him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why me?" "Because you reminded me of who I used to be. And who I should have stayed." Anna stepped closer to the wall, tracing the edge of her photo. Then, after a long pause, she said, "Can we put Tyler's name in a book here? Not 'cause he was mean, but so maybe he finds a story that changes his mind." Jasper smiled, a deep warmth in his eyes. "You're a better person than most grown folks I know." They stood there together, surrounded by stories, by mirrors, by echoes of people who had dared to act when it mattered. And as the sunlight streamed through the dusty windows, Anna Carter, daughter, granddaughter, rescuer, and reminder, felt something settle in her chest. Not the noise of fame, not the pressure of praise, but the quiet, unshakable knowledge that she belonged, and nothing anyone said could take that away. The weeks rolled by with the gentle rhythm of falling leaves and cooling skies. Fall had officially settled over Houston, painting the sidewalks in faded orange and gold. At Anna's school, the routine began to feel normal again. Kids still whispered when she passed, but fewer turned their heads now. The buzz was fading, replaced by the usual childhood chatter tests, cartoons, lunch trades, and playground arguments. But even as the noise died down, something else was rising in its place, quiet, creeping, and uncertain. It started with a phone call. Mrs. Carter had just finished folding laundry when the landline rang. She answered, expecting it to be Jasper or the school. Instead, it was a clipped, professional voice on the other end. "Mrs. Carter, this is Detective Paulson from the Department of Child Protective Services. We'd like to schedule a visit with you and your granddaughter. It's a routine check following some reports we've received." Mrs. Carter stiffened. "Reports? From who? I'm not at liberty to share that at this time. The visit won't take long. Just some questions and a brief inspection of the home. Tuesday, at 2 p.m., work for you?" Mrs. Carter's grip on the phone tightened. "We'll be here." She hung up slowly. The click loud in the quiet room. Her heart beat faster than it had in years. That evening, Anna sat at the kitchen table working through a simple math worksheet, while the aroma of beef stew simmered on the stove. Mrs. Carter joined her, masking the worry behind her eyes. "You remember how I always said some people don't like seeing others rise?" she asked gently. Anna looked up, sensing the seriousness. "Well," Mrs. Carter continued, "someone decided to stir trouble. A social worker's coming by next week." Anna frowned. "Because of the car? Probably. Or because they don't like seeing a little girl from our street on the news. Doesn't matter why, really. What matters is we stay calm, tell the truth, and stand tall." Anna was quiet for a moment. "Did I do something wrong?" "No, baby. You did something brave. But sometimes, the world punishes bravery it doesn't understand." Jasper arrived the next morning, earlier than usual, wearing a navy peacoat and carrying a box of books under one arm. "I heard," he said as soon as he stepped inside. "CPS, someone filed a complaint." Mrs. Carter crossed her arms. "Do we know who?" He shook his head. "But I've got my lawyers looking into it. Don't worry, we're not letting anyone take her anywhere." Anna stood nearby, watching them talk like grown-ups in a war room. She didn't fully understand all the implications, but she understood one thing. Something was coming. And this time, it wasn't something she could steer away from with a steering wheel. "Can I still go to school today?" she asked. Mrs. Carter nodded. "Of course. Nothing changes. Not on the outside. We live our lives." And so she did. But that day at school, something felt off. Tyler Matthews hadn't said a word to her since the incident in the hallway. But now he walked by with a smug grin. "Better pack your bags," he muttered just loud enough. "CPS doesn't play around." Anna stiffened. "You told them?" I shrugged. "My dad did. He said it's dangerous for someone like you to be raising yourself. Said you don't belong in the spotlight." Anna's breath caught. Tyler leaned in. "He says you're just a charity case. That Mr. Reed is using you for good press. Once it's over, he'll forget you too." The words hit like ice. Anna wanted to speak, to defend herself, but the bell rang, and the hallway filled with noise. At recess, she sat on the edge of the blacktop, staring at her shoes. Her teacher, Mrs. Lim, noticed and knelt beside her. "You all right, Anna?" Anna hesitated. What if people think I'm not supposed to be here? Like, not just school, but here. In this life." Mrs. Lim took a moment, choosing her words carefully. "You know, every generation has a few children who shine brighter than the world expects. And the world frankly doesn't always like that. It tries to dim the light, put it in a box, label it. But the truth is, people like you force change." Anna looked up, unsure. Mrs. Lim smiled gently. "You don't need permission to matter, Anna. You already do." That evening, Jasper sat down with Anna and Mrs. Carter in the living room. Papers were spread out on the coffee table, legal documents, statements, proof of the foundation, photos of Anna's schoolwork. "I'm not going to let them twist your story," Jasper said. "This isn't just about you anymore. This is about every kid who's ever been overlooked, dismissed, or silenced because they didn't fit the mold." He turned to Mrs. Carter. "We'll be ready when they come. The visit from CPS came exactly on time. A young woman named Narissa Flores entered the apartment with a badge, a clipboard, and a warm but guarded smile. She inspected the home, politely checked the kitchen, the bathroom, the pantry. She asked Anna a few questions, soft ones at first. Do you feel safe here? Who helps you with your homework? What do you like to do after school? Anna answered truthfully, her voice steady. Then came the harder questions. Did anyone encourage you to get into that car, Anna? Number. Did anyone threaten you if you didn't help? Number. He was hurting. I just didn't want him to die. Miss Flores nodded, writing furiously. She turned to Mrs. Carter next. You're her sole guardian? Yes. Do you work? Part-time at the church kitchen. Been there 12 years. Is Mr. Reed involved in Anna's day-to-day life? He's a friend, a supporter, that's all. The meeting lasted nearly 2 hours. When it was over, Miss Flores stood up, smoothing her blouse. You've been cooperative, she said. I'll be submitting my report within the week. May I ask, Mrs. Carter said, was this a random inspection? Miss Flores hesitated. Number. It was prompted by an anonymous complaint citing endangerment and media exploitation. But I've seen nothing here to support those claims. She turned to Anna. People might not understand what you did, but that doesn't make it wrong. In fact, I think it makes you extraordinary. And with that, she left. For a long while, the room was quiet. Then Anna whispered, It's over? Jasper smiled. The worst part, Island. But the story isn't. Anna looked toward the window, where the sun had started to set, spilling gold across the floor. Maybe it would never truly be over. Maybe stories like hers didn't end. They just kept rippling like quiet waves across a still pond until the world had no choice but to listen. It had been a quiet week after the CPS visit. Miss Flores's report had cleared Mrs. Carter of all wrongdoing, and the letter she sent to the household was now framed and hung by the kitchen door. It wasn't the kind of thing most people would display, but to Anna, it was proof that truth had won. That sometimes, even under pressure, justice still had a place in the world, but not everything had returned to peace. Though the media had turned its eyes to other stories and the whispers at school had faded into background noise, Anna still carried something unsettled inside her, something Tyler Matthews had left behind. His words hadn't disappeared with time. They had lingered like shadows in her thoughts. So when she opened her locker Monday morning and found a folded note inside, her first reaction was to freeze. It was a simple piece of lined paper, folded twice. Her name was written in uneven, all-caps pencil strokes. Anna. She looked around. No one stood near her. She opened the note slowly. I was wrong. Meet me behind the library after lunch. Please. T. Anna read the note 3 times. She tucked it into her pocket and closed her locker quietly. At lunch, her mind was distant. She barely touched her peanut butter sandwich. Even her best friend, Jada, noticed. You okay? Jada asked. Yeah, Anna replied. Just got something to do. When the lunch bell rang, instead of heading to the playground, Anna made her way around the back of the school. The area behind the library was quiet, shaded by a row of old oak trees. She saw Tyler already there, sitting on the low brick ledge with his hands stuffed in his hoodie pocket. When he saw her, he stood quickly. Hey, he said, voice low. Thanks for coming. Anna stopped a few steps away. What do you want? Tyler shifted uncomfortably, eyes scanning the ground. I wanted to say sorry. For what I said. At school. About CPS. About Mr. Reed. All of it. Anna said nothing. I didn't mean it, he added quickly. Well, I did mean it then. But I was mad. Not at you. At everything. Anna crossed her arms. Then why say it to me? Because, he sighed. You were getting everything I thought I wanted. The attention, the praise. People looking at you like you're important. I never got that. At home, my dad's always yelling. My mom works nights. Nobody listens to me unless I mess something up. So, when they started calling you a hero, I guess I got jealous. Anna's expression softened, but her voice stayed firm. You tried to get me taken away from my grandma. Tyler looked ashamed. I didn't mean for that to happen. I just told my dad what happened. He took it too far. Anna looked at him carefully. Words matter. You don't get to take them back just because you feel bad. I know, he said. That's why I'm here. There was silence between them. The wind rustled the trees, and a few golden leaves drifted to the ground. I don't want to be that kid anymore, Tyler said. The one who hurts people because he's hurting. I started writing stuff down. Like a journal. My mom said it helps. Would you maybe read something I wrote? Anna hesitated, then nodded. Tyler pulled a crumpled page from his pocket. It was messy, but sincere. The 12th of October I saw Anna today. She smiled when Jada made a joke. And I realized I haven't laughed like that in a long time. I don't think I hate her. I think I hate that she's good and brave and kind, and I forgot how to be all those things. When he finished reading, Anna blinked. It was the first time she'd seen vulnerability in him, real, unguarded vulnerability. Thanks for reading it, Tyler said, stuffing the page back in his pocket. I'm not asking to be friends or anything. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. Anna stepped forward. Trying matters. Tyler looked up, surprised. I don't forgive you yet, she added, but I'll remember that you showed up. That afternoon, when she got home, Anna found Jasper already sitting at the kitchen table, sipping tea with Mrs. Carter. Big day? He asked. She shrugged. Sort of, Tyler apologized. Jasper raised an eyebrow. Did the world stop spinning? Almost, she said, cracking a smile. Mrs. Carter laughed softly. Some storms settle on their own. If you wait long enough. Anna sat down and pulled out a notebook. I think I want to start writing too. Like my own version of what happened. That's a powerful idea, Jasper said. Tell your truth before someone else does. They spent the next hour sharing stories, funny ones, serious ones, forgotten moments. Anna asked Jasper about his childhood. And for the first time, he spoke of his father's death, of the poverty that shaped him, of the nights he'd go to bed hungry but full of dreams. People see the man in the suit, he said, but they don't see the kid with holes in his shoes. Anna scribbled notes in the margin of her journal. Before he left, Jasper looked at her and said, I've got something for you. He reached into his coat and handed her a small, leather-bound journal. Blank pages, he said, but full of potential, just like you. Anna opened it slowly, fingers brushing the first page. She wrote one sentence at the top. This is where I tell it my way. That night, long after the lights were off and the neighborhood had gone quiet, Anna sat by her window, the journal in her lap. Her pencil moved slowly, carefully. She didn't know if the world would ever fully understand her story. But she did, and that was enough to keep writing. Downtown Houston shimmered in the late afternoon sun as cars zipped by glass buildings and office towers cast long shadows on the sidewalks below. In one of those towers, Ridgetech's headquarters, Jasper Reed sat at the head of a sleek conference table, facing a dozen sharply dressed executives, all looking at him with polite skepticism. The Anna Carter Initiative, though now officially registered and operational, had become a topic of quiet debate among Ridgetech's board members. This is a software company, Jasper, said one man, tapping his Mont Blanc pen against a portfolio. Not a charity organization. Public sentiment's shifting back to normal. We should too. Jasper leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. So, what exactly is your suggestion? That we pretend nothing happened? That we forget the child who saved my life? A woman across the table cleared her throat. With respect, no one's saying we ignore her. But the more we tie our name to her story, the more we risk criticism about liability, public perception, political agendas. Liability? Jasper's voice sharpened. You mean because she's a black girl from the 3rd Ward who happened to do something heroic? A silence fell over the room. The woman fidgeted with her necklace. That's not what I meant. It's what the world will hear, Jasper said flatly. And I won't be the man who benefits from her courage. Only to abandon her when it's no longer convenient. Someone else spoke up. Jasper, we're only asking you to focus. Investors are asking questions. Tech forecasts for Q4 are shaky. Maybe just 2, Scale back the initiative for now. Let it breathe. Jasper stood slowly, his expression unreadable. Thank you, everyone. I'll take your concerns under advisement. The meeting adjourned in an uncomfortable shuffle. Jasper didn't wait to exchange pleasantries. He walked straight out the glass doors, into the elevator, and down to the parking garage where Marcus was already waiting with the car. Back to the office, sir? Marcus asked. No, Jasper said. Take me to Anna's school. Across town, the final bell had rung, and kids poured out of classrooms like water bursting from a dam. Anna walked with Jada toward the bus circle, her backpack bouncing with each step. Her journal, now half filled, was tucked safely inside. You want to come over today? Jada asked. We're baking cookies. Anna was about to say yes when she spotted a black sedan pulling into the school's front loop. Her heart skipped. She recognized that car. Maybe another day, she said quickly. I'll call you later. Jasper stepped out as she approached. Hey, partner, he said, smiling gently. Can we take a little detour today? Anna nodded and climbed into the car. She knew by now that when Jasper showed up midweek, it meant something important was stirring. They drove in silence for a few minutes before Jasper finally spoke. I had a meeting today, a big one. Some folks think I should walk away from the initiative, that it's distracting, too political, too risky. Anna turned toward him, alarmed. Are you? No, he said firmly, but I want you to understand something. The higher you rise, the more people will try to pull you down, not because you've done wrong, but because your courage reminds them of their cowardice. Anna stayed quiet, absorbing his words. Jasper continued. They want me to retreat because it's easier than explaining why a child had to act when grown men didn't. But you taught me something, Anna, about what matters, about what lasts. They pulled up to the first initiative site, the old barber shop now fully renovated. The new sign over the door read, Anna Carter Youth Center in bold bronze letters. Jasper led her inside. The space had transformed. There were reading nooks with pillows, shelves lined with books, tables with art supplies, and a room in the back with donated laptops for after-school tutoring. Kids were already inside, laughing, drawing, reading. Anna's eyes widened. It's beautiful, and it's just the beginning, Jasper said. But here's the thing, this place can't just have your name. It has to have your voice. I want you to help lead it. Anna blinked. Lead it? He nodded. Not today. Not all at once. But I want to build this around what you think kids like you need. What you wish someone had done for you sooner. I don't want to guess. I want to listen. Anna looked around at the room full of kids who didn't even know her yet but who would grow up in a place that bore her name. I think we should have a wall of wins, she said suddenly. Jasper raised an eyebrow. What's that? A wall where kids put their little victories, like, I read a whole book, or, I was nice to my brother. Doesn't have to be big. Just something good. Jasper chuckled. I love that. Anna pointed to a blank space on the far wall. There. That's where it should go. He pulled out his phone and made a note. Consider it done. Before they left, a young girl around Anna's age walked up shyly. Are you the Anna? She asked in a whisper. Anna smiled. Depends. Are you the Mia? The girl giggled. My brother said you were a real hero, she continued. But you don't look like one. You look like me. Anna bent down. That's 'cause heroes look like regular people until they do something that matters. The girl nodded and skipped off. As they drove home, Anna stared out the window, lost in thought. Do you think the board will shut it down? She asked quietly. No, Jasper said. Because if they try, I'll walk. And if I walk, others will too. They might have money, but we have the story. Anna turned to him. You really believe stories matter that much? Jasper looked out his own window, the skyline rising in the distance. Stories change people, Anna. And people change everything. When they reached her apartment, Anna turned to him before getting out. Can I bring my journal next time? Maybe read something to the kids? Jasper nodded. You can do anything. That's the point. And with that, Anna stepped out into the fading light. Her book bag a little heavier, but her heart, somehow, lighter than it had been in days. She didn't need applause or headlines. She just needed a place where her story could keep growing and help others do the same. The week of Thanksgiving brought a gentle hush to Houston. The streets slowed, stores played old soul records over the speakers, and the air carried just enough coolness to make jackets feel like comfort instead of necessity. For Anna, it meant a few days off school and time to help Grandma in the kitchen. But this year, the holiday would come with something she never expected, a formal dinner invitation with Jasper Reed and some of the most powerful people in the city. The card had arrived in a cream-colored envelope, embossed in gold lettering, Thanksgiving Community Forum, hosted by the Reed Foundation. Inside, a handwritten note from Jasper read, "Dear Anna, this dinner isn't just about turkey. It's about making space at tables where voices like yours are often missing. You won't be a guest, you'll be a speaker. If you're ready, the microphone is yours." Jasper. Anna held the note like it was made of glass. Speak? In front of adults in suits? She wasn't sure whether to be honored or terrified. "Do I have to wear a dress?" she asked her grandmother later that evening. Mrs. Carter laughed as she rolled out pie dough. "Baby, you can wear pajamas if it helps you speak your truth. But I do have that navy blue one you like, the one with the little gold buttons." Anna nodded. "Okay, but I'm not reading from a paper. I want it to come from me." No. Thanksgiving evening arrived with the shimmer of city lights and a nervous flutter in Anna's chest. Jasper's car picked them up just after sunset, and Marcus opened the door with a kind smile. "Looking sharp, Miss Carter," he said, tipping an imaginary hat. The venue was a converted rooftop greenhouse, downtown glass walls, warm lighting, and long tables dressed in white linen and autumn leaves. As they entered, Anna was greeted by an overwhelming mix of chatter, clinking glasses, and elegant laughter. People she had seen only on television or in newspapers were standing in clusters, holding plates of appetizers and talking about policy, philanthropy, and tech futures. Jasper spotted her quickly. "There she is," he said, making his way over. "Ready for your debut?" Anna looked up at him. "What if I mess up?" "You will," Jasper said. "Everyone does. But that's how we know it's real." He gently guided her and Mrs. Carter to the table near the stage. A jazz trio played softly in the background. Waiters moved through the room like ghosts, balancing trays of sparkling cider and roasted sweet potatoes. Before the program began, Jasper took the stage. He thanked the guests, made a few jokes, and then spoke about courage, how it shows up in unexpected ways, in unexpected people. Then he looked toward Anna. "Tonight," he said, "we give the mic to someone whose courage didn't just save a life, it shook a city. Miss Anna Carter, will you join me?" Anna's heart thudded. She stood slowly, smoothing the front of her dress, and walked to the stage with every eye watching her. The mic was taller than her. Jasper adjusted it, then stepped back. Silence fell. Anna cleared her throat. "My name is Anna Carter. I'm 6. I like comic books, peanut butter sandwiches, and when people don't talk down to me just because I'm small." A ripple of laughter moved through the room. She continued, voice steadier now. "I didn't save Mr. Reed because I wanted people to clap. I did it because I was scared he was going to die. And nobody else was there. It wasn't a plan. It was just a choice." She paused, then looked around. "Some people think kids like me, kids from certain streets, certain colors, can't do big things. But I think that's wrong. We can. We do. We just don't always get a mic or a camera when it happens." Now the room was still, utterly still. Anna took a breath. "I don't want to be famous. I just want to live in a world where doing the right thing doesn't surprise people." She looked toward Jasper, then her grandmother, "and where grandmas don't have to worry about people knocking on their doors, asking if they're good enough." A few people blinked fast. Others nodded, solemn. "I hope places like the youth center help more kids feel like they matter. Like they're not invisible. Like they have a seat at the table." She stepped back. For a moment, no one clapped. And then, as if the room collectively remembered how to breathe, the applause came soft at first, then louder and longer, until some were even on their feet. Anna didn't smile. She just nodded once, stepped down from the stage, and returned to her seat. Later, as dessert was served, several guests approached her. A university dean, a state representative, a poet. Each one thanked her. Some offered to support the center. Others asked if they could donate books, time, even scholarships. But one moment stood out more than the rest. A quiet woman in a green shawl approached and knelt beside Anna's chair. "My daughter has anxiety," she said. "She's 9. She never speaks in front of people, but she heard your story, and now she wants to start writing her own." Anna's eyes widened. "That's really good," she whispered. "You gave her something we couldn't," the woman said. "You gave her a mirror." When the night ended and they rode home, Anna leaned her head against her grandmother's shoulder. "Do you think I was too nervous?" Mrs. Carter kissed her forehead. "You were human. That's all you ever need to be." Anna looked out the window as the city passed by, lit up in gold and shadow. For the first time, she felt something shift, not outside, but inside. She hadn't just told her story. She had made space for others to tell theirs. And somehow, that felt bigger than any headline ever could. It was the first Monday of December when the call came. The sky outside Anna's window was gray, and the air had turned sharp and dry. Christmas lights had begun to appear across the neighborhood, draped over porches and woven through iron fences like hopeful threads. Anna was sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, assembling a cardboard model of the youth center with glue and popsicle sticks, when Mrs. Carter's phone rang. Her grandmother answered, and immediately her voice shifted from casual warmth to sharp focus. "Yes, this is she. I'm sorry. Who?" A pause. "From Washington?" Anna looked up. Mrs. Carter's face had gone still. "Yes, she's here." "You want to speak to Anna?" She covered the receiver and looked at her granddaughter. "It's someone from the White House." Anna's eyes widened. "The real White House?" Mrs. Carter nodded slowly, still clearly trying to make sense of it herself. "They want to talk to you." Anna took the phone, hands trembling. "Hello?" A cheerful woman's voice came through the line. "Hi, Anna. This is Lillian Brooks, and I'm part of the First Lady's Education and Youth Outreach team. She's read about your story and was deeply moved. She wanted me to ask something very special. Would you be willing to come to Washington, D.C., later this month to speak at the National Youth Empowerment Forum?" Anna's mouth went dry. "Like, on a stage?" "Yes," the voice said kindly. "In front of educators, policymakers, and other students from across the country. We'd cover everything: flights, hotel, even some sightseeing. You'd just bring your story and your heart." Anna didn't know what to say. She looked at her grandmother, who nodded slowly, encouraging her. I think I'd like that," Anna said. "Wonderful," said Lillian. "We'll send you all the details. And Anna, thank you for being brave. The world needs more of that." When the call ended, Anna stood in the middle of the living room, holding the phone like it might turn to dust in her hands. "I'm going to the White House," she whispered. Mrs. Carter pulled her into a hug. "Yes, baby, and you're bringing all of us with you in spirit." The next few weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Jasper arranged for a speech coach, who came by the youth center twice a week to help Anna shape her story. But Anna insisted on keeping her words her own. "I don't want it to sound like an adult wrote it," she told the coach. "I want it to sound like me." Her coach smiled. That's the best kind of speech their island. Meanwhile, the community buzzed with pride. The corner store hung up a poster of Anna next to the register. The barbershop offered Anna specials, free haircuts for kids under 10. Local news outlets called again. And this time, Mrs. Carter let Anna do one interview with a quiet-spoken anchor who asked thoughtful questions and didn't interrupt. Tyler even walked up to her in the cafeteria one day and handed her a folded paper. "I wrote this poem," he mumbled. "It's about courage. You don't have to read it, but I thought maybe you'd like it." Anna took the paper and smiled. "Thanks, Tyler." "I will." The morning of the trip, Anna woke before sunrise. She had laid out her outfit the night before: navy blue blazer, white blouse, and slacks. "No dress this time. I want to look like I belong at a table," she told her grandmother. At the airport, Jasper met them at the gate, carrying a bag of trail mix and a folder of press details. "You nervous?" he asked. Anna nodded. "A little." "That's good," he said. "It means you care." The flight to Washington, D.C. was smoother than Anna expected. She watched the clouds roll by, her journal open in her lap, occasionally jotting down phrases she didn't want to forget. When they landed, a driver met them with a sign that read, "Carter Family." They were taken to a hotel with velvet curtains and a view of the Washington Monument. That evening, they were invited to a private dinner with other youth speakers, each with a story of resilience, some from small towns, some from big cities, all from different walks of life. One girl, Ava, had started a community garden in her trailer park. Another boy, Julian, had taught himself to code while his parents worked night shifts. "You drove a car and saved a life?" Julian asked, eyes wide. "I thought I had a crazy story." Anna laughed. "It wasn't just about the car. It was about doing something when no one else would." He nodded. "That's the part I get." That night, Anna couldn't sleep. Not from fear, but from the weight of it all. The next day, she would speak not just for herself but for kids like her, who had never been invited to rooms like this. She looked out at the glowing city from the hotel window and whispered, "Don't forget who you are." The National Youth Empowerment Forum took place in a grand marble hall filled with flags and long rows of seats. Cameras lined the back of the room. The crowd was larger than Anna had imagined, easily, a few hundred people, maybe more. Jasper sat in the front row, next to Mrs. Carter, who wore her Sunday best and clutched a handkerchief like it was armor. When Anna's name was called, she took the stage with slow, deliberate steps. The microphone stood tall again, but this time, she adjusted it herself. "My name is Anna Carter," she began. "I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm 6 years old, and I believe that you don't have to be big to do something big." A quiet ripple of smiles moved through the room. Sometimes, the world waits for someone stronger or older or louder, but sometimes, the person who shows up is the one you least expect. That's what happened with me. She paused, remembering her journal, the scribbled thoughts, the long nights. I wasn't trying to be brave. I was just trying to do the right thing. And sometimes, those are the same. She looked directly at the audience now. "I don't know everything. But I know this: every kid, in every neighborhood, deserves to be seen. Not just when they save someone, but before that. Every day. Because who knows what they'll do if someone believes in them." She stepped back. There was silence, and then a slow, rising wave of applause. Some people stood. Others wiped their eyes. Even the woman from the White House who had first called looked moved. Anna looked to the crowd, then to her grandmother, then to Jasper. She had spoken her truth, and the world had listened. The glow of Washington, D.C., still shimmered in Anna's mind days after her return to Houston. Her photo had made it into several national headlines. Young voice shakes Capitol. 6-year-old delivers message on justice and inclusion. Teachers clapped when she returned to school, and students whispered in awe when she passed them in the hall. But Anna didn't feel like a celebrity. She felt like something was about to shift again. That shift came sooner than expected. It was a Friday afternoon when Jasper's assistant, Marlene, called Mrs. Carter's home line. Anna was sitting on the front steps, eating orange slices, when her grandmother appeared in the doorway, phone in hand and worry in her eyes. "It's Jasper," she said, her voice tight. "He needs to talk to you." Anna wiped her hands on her jeans and took the phone. "Hi, Mr. Jasper." "Anna." Jasper's voice came through, calm but serious. "I need you to come downtown. Something's come up, and I want you to hear it from me." She sat straighter. "What happened?" "I'll explain when you get here. Marcus is on the way." Anna had learned that when grown folks didn't answer directly, it usually meant trouble. Sure enough, when Marcus pulled up in the sedan, his usual easy smile was missing. "You're not in trouble," he assured her, "but today might be hard." The drive to Ridgetech headquarters felt heavier than usual. When they arrived, Jasper was waiting in the boardroom, not the open youth center or the rooftop cafe. He stood at the window, arms crossed, shoulders unusually stiff. "Hey, partner," he said, turning. "Come in." Anna slid into the leather chair opposite him. She could feel the tension in the air like static. "I wanted you to hear this from me," Jasper began. "A journalist contacted me last night. She's running a story claiming that the board of Ridgetech tried to suppress your youth initiative 6 weeks ago and that I overruled them without permission. Anna blinked. But, isn't it your company? I'm the CEO. Yes, but we have investors, a board. People with power who prefer things quiet, clean, and risk-free. You and I, we made noise. Beautiful, necessary noise. But not everyone appreciated that. Anna looked down at her hands. What does it mean? It means they're trying to force me out. She sat up straighter. What? But you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe not in the moral sense, Jasper said. But in business, doing the right thing can still cost you. He walked over and placed a small envelope in front of her. This reporter wants to interview you. She says she's trying to tell the truth, but if this gets published, it could hurt the initiative. People might pull funding. The board might dissolve it entirely just to save face. Anna stared at the envelope. You want me to say no? No, Jasper said. I want you to decide. You've always spoken your truth, but the cost is different this time. I'm not going to guide you. I just want you to think about what you want your voice to do. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Anna said, I want to talk to Grandma first. That night, Mrs. Carter sat on the couch. Her knitting needles paused in midair. You're saying if you speak, it might shut the center down? She asked. Anna nodded. Jasper said it's possible. Mrs. Carter was quiet for a moment, then lowered her hands into her lap. Let me tell you something my mother told me, she said. Truth ain't always soft. Sometimes it cuts. Sometimes it costs. But it always clears the way. Anna swallowed. So you think I should do it? I think you should do what keeps your spirit clean, baby. You've got a light in you. Don't dim it just because folks flinch when it shines too bright. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, remembering every child she'd met at the youth center. The shy ones, the loud ones, the ones who just needed a place where someone believed in them. She thought of Mia and Julian, of Tyler's poem, of the Wall of Winds. Then she got up, walked to her desk, and picked up her pencil. She wrote a letter. 3 days later, the article published online. The headline read, Youth Leader Speaks Out. The Battle Behind the Anna Carter Initiative. The article told the full story: how the board resisted, how Jasper defied them, how Anna refused to stay silent. But it wasn't a takedown. It was a testament. Anna's letter was printed at the end. When I was 6, I drove a car to save someone's life. It didn't make me brave. It made me present. I was there when someone needed help, just like Mr. Jasper was there for me. If he loses his job because he stood up for me, then maybe people should ask why doing the right thing is so hard in the first place. The response was electric. The article was shared thousands of times. Social media erupted with support. Hashtags like #StandWithAnna and #JusticeIsLouder began trending. And most unexpected of all, dozens of Ridgetech employees from interns to managers signed a petition demanding the board keep Jasper Reed as CEO. By the end of the week, the board held an emergency session. And they lost. Jasper kept his position. The Anna Carter Initiative kept its funding. And Anna? She learned something deeper than she'd ever expected at her age. Sometimes telling the truth doesn't just clear the way. It opens it. One afternoon, she returned to the center and found that someone had added a new frame to the Wall of Winds. It wasn't a kid's drawing or a little award. It was her letter, printed, framed, and placed right in the center. Underneath it, someone had written in neat handwriting, "She didn't just save a man. She reminded us all how to be human." Anna touched the glass and smiled. She hadn't set out to start a movement. But somehow, just by being herself, she'd become one. Winter in Houston rarely brought snow, but that January, the wind turned mean and the sky hung heavy with slate-colored clouds. People bundled up, kept their heads down, and walked a little faster. At the Anna Carter Youth Center, the heating flickered, but the kids didn't care. They came anyway, packed into the reading corners with their coats still on, laughing and sharing stories like warmth could be made from friendship alone. Anna sat near the window, notebook open, scribbling ideas for a new project, a citywide writing contest for kids who felt like no one ever asked what they thought. Jasper had called it brilliant and promised Ridgetech would sponsor the prizes. Everything felt steady again. Hopeful. Then came the knock at the front door. Marcus opened it. The man standing outside wore a suit, but not the warm kind. It was stiff and cold, with a federal badge clipped to the lapel. Behind him stood 2 more agents, serious and silent. "I'm looking for Jasper Reed," the man said. "We have questions regarding the misuse of Ridge Tech charitable funds." Anna froze. Inside the office, Jasper stepped out calmly, straightening his sleeves. "I'm Jasper Reed. How can I help you?" "Mr. Reed," the agent said, pulling a folded document from his coat. "We have a warrant to review financial records related to recent donations made under your name, particularly those linked to the Anna Carter Initiative." Gasps echoed through the room. Staff members exchanged wide-eyed looks. Anna stood slowly, heart hammering. "That money was real," she said aloud. "It went to books and food and computers. Nothing bad." The agent turned toward her. "I'm sure you believe that, young lady. But we need to verify everything." Jasper glanced back at her, his expression calm but resolute. "Anna, it's okay. Let them do their job." But you didn't do anything wrong," she insisted. "I know," he said softly, "and that's why I'm not afraid." The agents were polite but thorough. They requested laptops, statements, receipts. Jasper handed them over without resistance. "Every dollar's accounted for," he said. "You'll see." But the damage had already begun. By evening, the media had caught wind. A local news van idled outside the center. The next morning, headlines spun half-truths. "Charity under investigation. Ridge Tech CEO faces new scrutiny. Hero Girls Foundation in jeopardy." Anna watched the television in silence, jaw clenched. "They're trying to ruin everything." Mrs. Carter muted the screen. "They're trying to distract. Don't give them what they want." At school, kids whispered. Some avoided her, others asked strange questions. "Did you really steal that car? Is it true the money came from drugs?" Anna ignored them. But when she got to the youth center that afternoon, she found the usual crowd thinner than ever. Parents were pulling their kids out. Until things blew over. The reading corner sat empty. The wall of wins had fewer new cards. Jasper arrived later that day, tired but still upright. Anna ran to him the moment he walked in. "Tell me what I can do," she said. "Tell me how to fight this." Jasper knelt so they were eye level. "You're already doing it. By showing up. By being you. But if you want to do more, write." "Write what?" "Your story. The full truth. No reporters, no edits. Just you." That night, Anna pulled out her journal and wrote until her hand ached. She didn't hold back. She wrote about the day of the car ride. About the hospital. About the first time she saw her name on a building and didn't know whether to be proud or scared. She wrote about how it felt to be used as a headline and how people forgot she was still a kid underneath all the praise. She ended it with one line. "Even when they doubt us, we don't disappear. We build anyway." The next morning, Jasper published it on Ridge Tech's website unedited, signed only Anna Carter. Age 6. The post went viral within hours. People from all walks of life, educators, artists, parents, veterans, shared it with captions like, "This child speaks for all of us," and "The most honest thing I've read in years." Donations surged. Support poured in. Several media outlets ran full retractions of their earlier coverage. And then, as suddenly as the storm came, it broke. Federal investigators released a statement clearing Jasper and the initiative of any wrongdoing. The irregularities had been a clerical error tied to an external accounting firm. No misconduct. No crime. No cover-up. But not everyone believed it. A few board members at Ridge Tech still murmured in back rooms. Sponsors remained cautious. And Anna learned the hardest truth of all. Clear doesn't mean clean. In the days that followed, she noticed how Jasper moved with a little more weariness. How his laugh was a little slower to arrive. She watched how Mrs. Henderson at the center stopped trusting visitors. How parents now lingered at the door instead of dropping their kids off with full smiles. "Trust breaks easy," her grandmother told her one night. "Like a plate. Even when you glue it back together, the cracks still show. But does it still work? Anna asked. Mrs. Carter looked at her, surprised, then she smiled. Sometimes it holds better than before. That weekend, Anna stood before the wall of winds and stared at her letter again. A new card had been pinned beside it. It read, "Today I told the truth, even though I was scared." That's my win. Deshawn, age 8. Anna exhaled. Maybe the light was dimmer now, but it was still burning, and no storm, not even the kind that came wearing a badge, could put it out for good. Spring arrived slow and shy in Houston, like someone afraid to knock on a heavy door. The air softened. Trees remembered how to bloom. Street corners filled again with music and laughter, and at the Anna Carter Youth Center, things quietly came back to life. The kids returned not all at once, but steadily, like rain after a long drought. Mia was the first, with her notebook full of song lyrics. Then Julian, arms full of comic books. Tyler came too, with a new haircut and a quiet apology. "I never should have doubted you," he mumbled to Anna, who simply smiled and bumped his shoulder. By May, the reading corner was full again. The wall of winds overflowed, and the community, though cautious, had begun to trust the center again. It wasn't the same as before, but maybe that was okay. Maybe it was better. Jasper still came by every Wednesday. He no longer wore suits when he visited, just jeans and rolled-up sleeves. He listened more than he talked now, especially to the kids, especially to Anna. "Think you'll ever run for office?" she asked one afternoon, half joking as she folded paper cranes at a table near the windows. He chuckled. "Only if you're my speechwriter." "Deal," she grinned. "But I get the last word. Wouldn't have it any other way." Summer began with a new mural on the east wall of the center. It was painted by local artists and kids from the neighborhood, bright blues and reds and golds. It showed children of every color holding hands, surrounding a large tree. In the center of the tree, carved into its bark, were the words, "We build anyway." Anna traced her fingers over those words one morning and whispered them to herself, letting them settle in her chest like armor. That same week, Ridgetech announced a scholarship fund named in her honor, the Anna Carter Initiative for Young Changemakers. The fund would support youth-led projects across the country, with applications open to kids as young as 7. "You changed more than one life," Jasper told her during the press conference. "You started a ripple. One we'll be chasing for years." Anna didn't speak at that event. She didn't need to. The world had heard her. This time, she just stood by Jasper's side, holding her grandmother's hand, letting the applause wash over her without needing to carry its weight. That night, back home, Mrs. Carter made sweet tea and pulled an old photo album off the shelf. She turned to a page near the middle one Anna had never seen before. "That's your mama," she said, pointing to a young woman in a denim jacket, eyes full of fire. Anna leaned in, surprised. "She looks like me." "She was like you," Mrs. Carter said softly. "Strong, bold, wanted the world to be fair. She didn't always get the chance to speak up, but I think, in some way, you're finishing what she started." Anna didn't say anything for a moment. Then, very quietly, "I wish I'd known her." Mrs. Carter wrapped an arm around her. "You do. Every time you speak with that little fire in your belly, she's right there." The summer rolled on. Anna turned 7. The center threw a small party with balloons and cupcakes. Jasper gave her a new journal with her name embossed on the cover. Inside, he wrote, "The world doesn't change with noise. It changes with echo. Keep echoing." Anna wrote in that journal every night. Sometimes it was poems, sometimes stories, sometimes just questions. Why do grown-ups lie? Why do people forget kindness? Why do I miss people I never met? And sometimes, she wrote answers to her younger self. To the girl who was scared in the passenger seat of that SUV, the girl who thought no one would believe her. The girl who was small, but never invisible. She wrote, "You were never alone. You were never wrong to be afraid. And you were always right to act anyway." One day in late August, Anna was walking home with Grandma when she saw a car stalled at the corner. A man stood outside, kicking the tire, muttering under his breath. Inside the back seat, A little girl cried, face pressed to the window, without a word. Anna let go of her grandmother's hand and approached. "Need help?" she asked. The man looked up, startled. "Oh, I think the battery's dead. I called someone, but my daughter's scared." Anna bent slightly, meeting the girl's eyes through the glass. She smiled, lifted her hand slowly, and gave her the gentlest wave. "It's okay," she said. "You're not stuck. You're just paused." The little girl sniffled, then waved back. Mrs. Carter joined her side. "You ready to head on, baby?" Anna looked one more time at the stalled car, then nodded. "Yeah. Let's go." As they walked, Mrs. Carter said, "You always know what to say now." Anna thought about that for a second. "I think I always did," she said. "I just finally believe it matters." That night, Houston buzzed with cicadas and porch lights. Families sat on stoops. Radios played slow jazz. Somewhere, across town, a copy of Anna's letter hung in a classroom. Somewhere else, a boy her age picked up a pen for the first time and started to write. And somewhere deep in the quiet corners of the world, the echo of one small voice full of fire, full of hope, kept bouncing forward. It did not shout. It did not rage. It simply said, "We build anyway." And the world listened. And then, it started to build too. The story of Anna Carter teaches us that courage isn't measured by age or size, it's defined by action in the face of fear. Even the smallest voice can spark change when it speaks with truth and conviction. In a world often quick to doubt or dismiss the vulnerable, Anna reminds us that doing the right thing, even when it's hard or lonely, is what truly builds justice, trust, and community. We may be afraid, we may be young, but if we act with heart, we help shape a better world.